I always remember when I did not understand how I used to stand under. I always rules running these lands. I had my head in the sand and I was asleep. Now I learn a little more every day, and I'm waking the sheep. Gonna say it out loud, say it proud, get it out, 'cause I'm burning inside, cannot hide it no more. I'm a raconteur too. Yeah, I'm a raconteur too. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. All the people in the chat room singing. Oh, I'm a raconteur too. One more time now. Oh, I'm a raconteur too.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News on this Monday evening. It's the 8th of October. We're getting close to Halloween, so a few jokes will be about then, no doubt. Welcome to Raconteurs News. It's your twice weekly antidote to the insane asylum that we appear to be moving into. In fact, we're already in it, I think. Stuff today. I've just saw something on the BBC. They've been talking claptrap about climate change. They've been talking claptrap about. There was a thing on the Royal London Ballet are going to be in having a more gender inclusive type thing, a more diverse, they call it. That means that blokes are going to dress up in dresses and prance around like they're not, feminine enough, being a ballet dancer and all that. But what they're going to do is they're going to put dresses on, and it's all just complete insanity. But trying to bring some sanity tonight, we've got we've got Andy Young. He's pressing the buttons. He's going to be producing for us tonight. So thanks, Andy. But alongside me, my co-presenter this evening, a man who would cure climate change, cure cancer, cure AIDS, all using the bills of exchange. And tonight he's going to try and find Madeleine McCann as well, using the bills of exchange. Paul Webster, how you doing, mate?
I'm great, mate. Thank you. Thanks very much for that introduction, because you couldn't be more correct, actually, because somebody once said, if you get control of a nation's money supply, I don't care who makes its laws. So that implies that you can pretty much get away with what you like. And we're talking about lots of promissory notes through bills of exchange that has been funded through different foundations to what our guest has been looking into tonight. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Alan Vinnicome, who's also known as the Armchair Detective. Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
I won't see me or hear me, but yeah.
It's a bit. I don't know. How's that doing out that at your end, Andy? Yeah. You might be better if
you. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, you're just about coming through. You're just going to have to speak as clearly and slowly as you can. Introduce yourself a bit, Alan, and tell us how you got into this, because it's really took off for you with and it's. I said to you in briefly that I like the way you work, because we like people who ask questions. They've not got answers. There's nobody coming on here saying this is what's happened. They're coming on saying, hang on a minute, you've got a lot of questions, and that's basically what you've done. And you can see that you've sparked fires in a lot of people's minds who've always had doubts about this. Had it been anybody else but these people, where else would the police have been looking? So please tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, basically, first of all, the me for a number of years that no matter how hard they try to convince us that poor Madam's been so many doubts, in their statements, the endless events that go on. See it in the newspaper saying poor parents.
I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, I've just knocked Alan's camera off in the hope that it might improve his bandwidth. So let's see how that goes.
Go on, Alan. Carry on. Sorry about that. We're just having real trouble. Whenever you're talking, it keeps dropping out. So we're just having quite a lot of trouble. It might be an idea to try disconnecting and reconnecting again to see whether or not that clears it up.
What I'm going to do, you have to do without me for 10 minutes. I'm going to drive home, which is 10 minutes away. Well, I heard you really clearly then, so I think I better do that.
Beautiful. That would be
manage?
great. You can do that, Alan.
Manage without me. Manage without me. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll find you at 10 minutes, okay?
Brilliant, Alan. Thank you.
Okay. No worries. I'll get back to you.
Cheers.
Superb.
Bye.
There we go. Alan will be back in
We've
about
got 2 hours. So...
Are we clear?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's muted now. Oh, it's a pity. I'm looking forward to
Yes.
it. Like I said, go on, Jason.
Sorry, did you say something, Paul?
It's. I don't know who's talking. It's breaking up this end, Jason. Can you hear me? Okay.
Can't hear anything, mate. I've just caught the end of that. That's all I caught. We're having a few problems, folks. A few technical problems. A few gremlins in the machines. I don't know if it's the gremlins or whether it's just the technology, whether it's been choked at this time. God knows when he's doing it at 5 o'clock, 5 till 7. I would imagine that he's going to have major problems because that's really when they do start the choking on internet service providers. We're having these problems. Can you hear me now, Paul?
It's really poor, Jason. The connection's really poor. It starts to drag out on your words. It was doing the same with Alan, but to more of a degree. I don't know. Is it? Right. Are you connected up by cable?
No, I'm not connected up by cable. No, because I've just moved. My studio's just been moved back upstairs. Right. So it was downstairs, so it's not connected by cable. But to be fair, it's never really connected by cable. The only time I connected anything by cable was on the other laptop, which I was doing the Facebook Live on. So this has never been connected by cable. It's always been the same here.
Well, you're coming through fine there now, so let's crack on. Let's. What's happened over the weekend in your world then, Jason?
Well, not very much, to be fair. I watched some football over the weekend. I watched a bit of. I generally tend to try and switch off. When we're not on the show and we're not doing the show, it's always good to switch off and just put your attention elsewhere. Whether even if it's a distraction like football is. It's still there. I'm sure you were gripped by the events that happened on Sunday. I certainly was. I was watching Sheffield Wednesday play at Bristol City on Sunday. I think it kicked off at 1:30. And then the first half an hour of that, I was thinking to myself, God, I wish Man City and Liverpool had hurry up. But Man City and Liverpool were worse than Wednesday games. So
it was horrible, mate. It was horrible. Oh, man, do you know what? If I go back to the days where football meant, like if Liverpool had lost, it ruined the entire week. But now it's just a game. I can watch a game like that it has all that hype, all the potential in the world, and then neither team really turns up. And at the end of the day, I mean, City had everything to take there, and even that goes over the bar. So. What can you do? If we'd have played all night, would any of us scored? I mean, City certainly looked like they were going to score more than what we did. And it's a bit worrying that a team that that's got that potential to just explode, and it potentially at times you're pushing towards double figures with the clear-cut chances that are being missed. But things like Mo Salah, where it's just not falling right for him. Where he'd put that in the top corner with ease, he seems to be trying too hard, and there's just something's just not quite right there. But now you've got the international break, so maybe that's a blessing in disguise, maybe not. You don't get a chance to work things out, do you? So, hey up, one of those.
It looks like they all have.
Froze up again there, Jason.
Some weird stuff going on here, man. A pair of beer stuff. Even though he's young.
I'm getting
Anybody
nothing.
there? Oh, there we go. I can hear you now. I can hear you now. You've just suddenly unfrozen, and Alan's just disappeared.
Right, you're clear now. You everything there at the minute is working. FFS.
I just dropped Alan off the call, guys, because it looked like he was still connected somehow, even though he's supposed to be driving home. So hopefully when he gets home, we should be able to connect and have a decent signal there. Yeah,
let's hope so. I'm interested in, like I said, Alan's stuff. It's basically as the title sounds, that he's just been sat at home with all these questions that I'm sure thousands and thousands of other people have got. At the very least, it's anybody who leaves the kids and goes away and then comes up, there's a child missing. It's always going to be the parents who've got to be cleared first in any investigation like that. And all the police have done is say we're happy that they've nothing to do with it. Well, that's great, but where's the evidence for that? And the evidence that is showing is being just dismissed. And that's the first thing that you do is when a child goes missing, the first thing you do is hire a PR firm. There's something not right with it. There's always been something not right with it.
Yeah, I've been watching. We've all seen it, haven't we? I mean, I can actually remember where I was when I heard the news, because I was driving home from Bury. I'd been working. I'd been doing Yates's in Bury, which is not too far from you. And I was driving home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then suddenly there was this report of this girl that had been reported missing in Praia da Luz in Portugal, and then it all just seemed to escalate from there. I mean, there's so many questions about it that need to be answered, but are not being answered, and not even being acknowledged as genuine questions. Anybody that I watched one of Alan's films the other day regarding the lady they called a troll. I think was it Leyland? The name was
Brenda Leyland. Yeah,
Brenda Leyland. Yeah, and for me, for a news channel to go right out of the way simply because somebody said something online, when it was pointed out in the film that there were people that were saying worse things than what she was saying, but she was quite close to where they lived, so that I think the reason why that they made an example of her. But Martin Brunt, God, I mean, it's rhyming slang, isn't it, for what he is?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I'll tell you what, Jason, though, that it is a new one on me. Suicide by helium. That is a new one on me. I've never heard of that before in my life.
No, me neither. And I've known many people who've committed suicide. Not known many, thankfully, but I've known of many people that have committed suicide. And I think I've never heard suicide by helium ever.
No, it's something that something that I've never even entered your head. I mean, he's never thought of doing anything, but to think of helium, I mean, that's a bit it's a bit strange to me. But everything about this case it strikes you as strange. It's everything that you want to look at. You know, we've had guests on like Tony Farrell talking about 7/7. There's all these questions, and when you're asking those questions, you're being attacked and you're being called names. That means there's something there for me, because the truth does not need this kind of protection.
Which is it's true. I mean, there's a whole cascade of evidence. Just think, if they were minded to bring in the parents and question them. I mean, there are so many questions that these people need to answer. And it also makes you wonder. You've got what they would say an ordinary middle class family. They're both in the medical industry. I don't know if I think she's a doctor and he's a nurse, and he apparently. I think that he's not even actually a doctor. But you know, these are a sort of well-to-do family people. How do they get government agencies to intervene in what is essentially something in someone else's jurisdiction? That if there's an offence been committed, it's been committed in someone else's jurisdiction, and they should be allowed to investigate it the way they want. And it seems as though they were always guided away, and the people at the top, I think the people underneath, I think the people who were dealing with the you know, with the investigation, I think they were probably all saying, you know, but are we going to look at parents? But it probably the information and the orders probably came from the top. Now that just makes you wonder. And I know Rich Hall's done quite a decent job on a series of documentaries on that. So there's all sorts of different questions to be answered. There's the cadaver dogs that are never wrong, but on this occasion, I don't even know if they said they were wrong or just that it wasn't a line that they were pursuing. But
no, they say they're not. It's not. It's you can't get you can't convict on that. The evidence isn't strong enough. That's what they were saying. Yeah, it's been strong enough in, like you said, every other case. But you're saying, how do they get these agencies to get involved in this? The Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, intervened in this. That would not happen if that was me or you over in Portugal. It just wouldn't happen. So you've got all these questions. You were talking about the police taking the McCanns in. Kate McCann was asked 49 questions. She answered 48 no comments and confirmed yes to a name. So she answered one question out of 49. They've hired a PR firm whilst they're looking for their daughter. It doesn't compute. It really doesn't make sense to me, that.
Yeah, I'm still having problems, me. I
Right. I didn't know what had gone on. Andy, you're going to have to jump in here, mate.
Still having problems, me. I can't hear you now, Paul, at all. You've sort of drifted away. I don't know if Andy can hear me, or if anybody can hear me, or if the world can hear me. But I've just lost you guys for a minute.
I can hear you, Jason. I can hear Webby, but you seem to be cutting in and out a little bit, Jason. But I could hear you perfectly, Paul. Yeah. As far as this McCann thing goes, I mean, wow, it's the behaviour of the McCann.
Oh,
when hang on, the daughter's missing, allegedly. Wouldn't you think they'd be raising money to find the daughter rather than to shoot down a load of Facebook trolls?
That's exactly it. They're doing things all about cock. The police aren't doing the job what they're meant to do, which would be to discount the parents straight away out of the equation, which they haven't done. They've not investigated that. The police, obviously, in Portugal did, and they made them suspects. You know, the guy who led the case, Amaral, he said there was no other suspects. So what is going on? How do they get this perpetuated to a point where they've got a multi-million-pound fund? They're begging for more funds. They're saying there's no money for the NHS, no money for the prison service, the public police service, fire services, no money for anything like this. Yet they can do funding for this. Well, where does that come from? Is it because there's no such thing as this money thing, and it's all about moving debts around and moving facts and figures? This is about siphoning equities. Again, this foundation, the amount of money that gets laundered through foundations and trust is unbelievable. To think that with all the questions around this little girl being missing, there's so many questions, you tend to forget the fact that there's a little girl missing, and the dogs that have never been wrong on any other cases are saying that this girl's dead. That's a good enough reason to go down that route and channel. But no, we're being distracted by going all around the world looking for a kid that has been shown on in any other case apparently is dead.
Yeah, I mean, it puzzles me. Well, it doesn't necessarily puzzle me, I would say. It makes me ask questions as to why you've got certain very high profile cases, such as Madeleine McCann, the Ben Needham case back in the day, and they immediately make front page on all the tabloids, and they continue to make front page on all the tabloids for a great deal of time. Yet your average missing child, they might get a mention on local news, maybe on TV, they might get a mention in the paper, but they don't get this intense and constant coverage that these high profile cases do get. And you've got to ask why. I mean, there's so many questions about this particular one. I mean, one that has been brought up with me almost every time I raise it with anyone I come across is, well, hang on, those children were abandoned whilst the parents went out drinking. Now, were they not supposedly a heart surgeon, a GP, and various other health professionals that all seem to be clubbed together? Surely all those bloody children would be taken off them and put in care. Because I know damn well that's what would happen if it was a kind of low-income council house family without friends in high places, shall we say. Don't you think so, Paul?
Well, again, we take it back to the fact that the Prime Minister steps in for a missing child, compared to, you know, it depends on where you look, but there's anything like 40 to 80,000 children going missing a year. What's happening to all these other children? You know, why aren't these all reported as missing? Why aren't the 10 children that went missing after the Queen visited them in Canada, why aren't we talking about them? You know, you've got all these massive cases that surround all these high-profile people, yet, yeah, there's nothing going on. Jimmy Savile, yeah, he was good friends with Charles. Well, you know, nobody can get near the royal family without complete background checks. Are you telling me they didn't have suspicions about Jimmy Savile? Because I reckon they probably had more than suspicions about Jimmy Savile.
I would say the intelligence services were more than well aware of what he was up to and had been for a long time. It seems like if such like as Esther Ranson and one or two more to be believed, I think Edwina Curry made some sort of statement on it. Well, everybody had their suspicions, but, you know, what do you do?
Well, what does that say, though, Andy? If you know that somebody is bumming children, if you know that that is happening, and if you suspect it and you do nothing because of either your career or something like that, that says a lot. That says a lot about the people. And then to come out in public, especially somebody who's linked with Childline, something like that, to come out with that kind of rubbish. You know, what kind of trust should a child who's gone through that kind of abuse to look at Esther Ranson? You know, she should have just stuck with That's Life and then fucked off.
Yeah, well, essentially, if you're aware of a crime that's being committed and you do nothing to address that, i.e. you report it to the relevant authorities, then you're yourself committing a crime. So why's there been no arrests of all these people who knew about Jimmy Savile but didn't dare say anything for their career? Because surely what they were doing was a criminal offence, wasn't it?
It's got to be. They've got to be accountable at some level, at the very least. The fact is, though, how are these people who have left 3 children on their own? One's gone missing now. Dogs turn up and point, and the dogs basically turn around and go, "Yeah, well, she's dead. She's gone." That's what the basically, you know, all that investigation. What the police have done has always been good enough to direct a case in the past. They've done nothing different. Our police have gone against everything that they should be doing as part of an investigation, which is to eliminate the parents. You can't just come out and say, no, I've had a chat with them, they seem all right. It doesn't work like that. And then, as Jason was saying, all these agencies that have intervened, public relations, whipping up all the, you know, as you were saying, Andy, front pages across all of Europe. There's something not right with this. And then because of life happening and, you know, Love Island's on and stuff like that, people then forget about it, and then they'll bring it back every so often and wave the Maddie McCann flag, and then it'll fade away again. But everybody's always had those questions, and it's, you know, everybody's like, you know, you've got your own work that you do, I've got mine, so we're all centered on different things whilst trying to pick off all other bits of information. Alan's angled it down the route of other things as well, but he's done some good stuff on Madeleine McCann, and it's basically, as he said, just sat in his armchair and he's gone, well, what about this? What about that? And he's put it to some pictures, and he's just talked through it, and they're just questions. If you ask people questions that are not yes and no answers, it causes them to have to think for themselves and answer it. And a lot of people have these questions about what would have happened if they'd have been in that position. None of what has happened with these people, and they don't act right. You know, you said, Andy, that Richard D. Hall has done some good work. Well, he had an FBI profiler on to look at the body language. And he said all these indications. He said, you know, you can see his resume, you can see all these cases that he's been involved in. And he said, they know that she's dead. And it's how they speak, it's the mannerisms. There's really, you know, you've got to be far more skillful than what I am to be able to suss these little small signs. But, you know, it's all these indications there's something wrong, yet we can't ask those questions and the police will not investigate. For me, you know that there's something wrong.
Okay, I think Jason's back with us now. Have you got yourself sorted, Jason?
I don't know. You tell me.
You sound crystal clear there, mate.
It was a bell, Sam.
Okay. Well, I've disconnected and reconnected. I have been in the meantime. I was listening to you on YouTube as well, so I'm a bit behind. But yeah. Like you were saying, the amount of people that are involved in this, and the amount of questions that it raises. I mean, it spreads everywhere. It seems to have tentacles everywhere. There's even rumours. I don't know whether these reports are true, but even the Podesta brothers, who have been involved in the pizza scandal in the States, they were in a villa in Praia de Luz at the same time. You know, we're talking about people that are suspected, shall we say, of being paedophiles and kiddie fiddlers and what have you. But all these things will not be investigated, because if they investigate them and find that there's nothing to them, then you've got to then return to the people who was the first on the scene that's the person that you're most interested in if you're investigating something. The person who was first on the scene, the person who reported it, they're the people that you need to be investigating first and foremost. Before, you know, it don't mean to say that if they say that there's some hypothesis of Maddie being abducted, then, you know, investigate that as well, but don't just take that at face value, because I think the words that Kate was using was they've taken her. That, now that's quite specific. You know, it's not like saying someone's taken her or somebody's taken, it's they've taken her. So that's at some particular individual or a group. So again, these are all questions. What did you mean by that, Kate? Oh, well, I'm sorry, you can't ask that because that's down on the list of questions that you can't ask. The only things that you can ask is, how can I donate money to the Madeline Fund? All right, that's the, you know what, that's one. Two, how are you feeling? And you know, I all the freebies that you get in and everything. Three, is your mortgage being paid? Because you know, we know donations have been a bit down, but you're going to get another 11 million quid for, you know, all these silly questions. These questions that are pertinent questions that
Jason,
should be.
Sorry for jumping in there. Do you really think these people pay a mortgage if they can get the help what they've already had?
Yeah, but there was at the time, weren't they? Round about the time, there was a scandal where they'd taken money from the fund for a mortgage payment. I'm sure it was in the papers, and there was a bit of a scandal about it and a bit of a to-do. But I think that was like, I think it must have been Express are the sort that do that sort of shit, don't they? You know, they bring up Princess Diana quite a lot. They have Diana conspiracies on the front page quite a lot and questions about that. And so I think they did that with Madeline. But again, that's just, you can't really take that as being positive and genuine journalism, because it's something that they've been fed, that's been put out there for a reason. There is nothing, not one single news story that is not put out for a reason. And this is why you get these cases, Madeleine McCann case, like Andy was saying, there were the Holly and Jessica case, these huge big cases that had an effect on the public psyche and the way that the public feeling as well. Because don't forget, after Holly and Jessica were found and it emerged that it was allegedly in Huntley, even though they were found on the edge of an Air Force base, and there were a guy at the Air Force base who subsequently was convicted of murdering, I think, 3 children in a different country. But you know, putting that to one side, if you can't see what the agenda behind the Ollie and Jessica thing was, then you're blind. It was simply, we need to, whether you've done something or not, if we're suspicious of you, we need to be able to record that. And that's what it was. That's all that was. If we're suspicious of you, we need to be able to record the fact that we're suspicious of you. Whereas before, if you got arrested and then you were kicked out and you'd not done anything wrong, everything was destroyed. But no, that's what they wanted to do. So it gives them an open door to be able to investigate anybody for anything. It's these cases. It just makes you wonder what the motivation was in this case, because it got a lot of public sympathy. But then when people did realize quite early and start saying, well, hang on a minute, these parents were negligent at the very least. Surely we should be looking at them and saying, well, if they're going to be leaving the children on their own, is there anything else that they might try to cover up, or they might try to do, you know, if something had happened? And I know there's a hypothesis that it was an accident and Maddie died in the apartment and then was transferred using one of the hire vehicles, hence the cadaver dogs smelling a cadaver in the rear of one of these. And that's a hypothesis, but you know, it just seems that those hypotheses, which seem a lot more plausible than a huge international paedophile ring kidnapping her not for ransom, but on demand, if you will. You know, someone's gone and this international paedophile ring, and then you've got all these people that were in the area. Cool, you're in an area. There's going to be sex offenders around anywhere you go. There's going to be sex offenders around. So all these other hypotheses don't make as much sense as an accident. It was nobody's fault. It was just an accident, but they tried to cover it up for whatever reason. And the only reason they probably tried to cover it up was they knew with their connections that they could get away with it.
It's an interesting one for me because the story that has grown up all around it, as I said to Andy, I don't know if you caught it, Jason, that it's bigger than the little girl. You know, because there's so many questions about it, grown bigger than what that little girl should be. You know, in any other case, with those cadaver dogs, the investigation where it's named the parents as suspects, everything is aimed at them, and then all of a sudden all that's taken, there's no jurisdiction because they can't extradite us. That's it. That's the end of the case, and then the rest of it is a merry dance to look around the world for this girl that could be anywhere in this world. And, you know, any other case, we wouldn't be looking that far. So we've got to be able to ask the questions, and you can see where, as what you're referring to with Brenda Leyland, how she's raised some, you know, she's like rattled the hornet's nest, if you like, because she lives near the hornet's nest, and they've all come out to sting her. You know, we've got to be able to ask these questions. There's too much suspicious things going on, isn't there, Jason, for it to say hidden.
I just had a thought about the Brenda Leyland thing. Now, when we were just talking, I thought about the Ben Needham case. With Ben Needham being from Sheffield, it's his family's here. Every so often the case is brought up and police officers go on a jolly to Greece and dig somewhere up, or get some locals to dig somewhere up while they stand about drinking pina coladas and and then do it lambada until 4 o'clock in the morning. But they keep bringing it up. Now, so you've got cases like that now. With Brenda, now I'm in Sheffield, so I've heard, believe me, I've heard 1,001 rumours about what became of Ben Needham. I've heard them all. There are thousands of them. Now with Brenda Leyland, like we were talking about before, that she'd been posting some stuff on Twitter, and it wasn't the most offensive stuff that had been aimed at the McCanns. And plus, how are the McCanns going to, when the McCanns don't have a presence on Twitter, how are the McCanns then going to, be offended or going to be upset by this because they don't have a presence on Twitter, unless other people are telling them, in which case it's the people that are telling them's fault.
Well, that's actually what happened, because they never actually read the tweets from Brenda Leyland. That's what Alan covered in his film, that Jerry McCann had never read them. Yet Jerry McCann was the one who was calling that somebody needed making an example, and Martin Brunt decided that he was going to help try and make that example of somebody, which he obviously did. He thrusted somebody into the limelight and said, "Oh, well, we never named her. Everybody bloody knew her who lived near her."
Yeah, but Martin Brunt didn't decide on Brenda Leyland. That would have been handed to him. Go, because Martin Brunt, for fuck's sake, he's like a little snake that goes from one side to other side. I know journalists, mate. I've had them in my house. They'll go from one thing and they'll do other, and they'll say one thing and they'll be a bestest mate. Martin Brunt's just a dickhead, right? All he's doing is being told what to do, so he goes and does it because that's the masters of which he's in the pay of. So fucking Martin Brunt, Jesus Christ, he's gone off and he's destroyed a woman's life, a woman who's just got an opinion. All right, she might have gone over top on a couple of occasions and said something that was, you know, that perhaps she would have, if she'd have thought about it, wouldn't have said. But you know, we've all done that. Nobody deserves to die for it. And you know, we're told she was respected within the community and all this sort of all these sort of things, and it just doesn't make any sense that she would kill herself. I especially by helium, for God's sake. When she get up to pearly gates and like, you know, that really high voice. Come on, helium. It's just ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous. But then again, this is what happens. It's ridiculous. Look at the David Kelly thing. Ridiculous. He's gone into a field and he's killed himself in a way that, you know, that
he couldn't. That he
yeah,
couldn't.
he couldn't kill himself. Yeah, by and you know, but it's then Tony Blair goes and sits full. Tony Blair actually sits there and just barefaced lies. Just barefaced lies. I mean, what is that piece of shit? It's just. It just seems to be he's the benchmark. You know, you've got the ultimate piece of shit, and then everybody's trying to reach, all these progressives and stuff are trying to reach towards being the new Tony Blair. I mean, why would you want to be the new Tony Blair? I'd rather be the new Gary Glitter. I really would, than be the new Tony Blair.
Hang on, is that not potato?
Well, it's probably the same fucking thing, you know, but just. It's just another example of this complete upside down world where you ask a pertinent question and it's offensive. If you ask, this is if I ask Gary Esseltine what his favourite colour UFO is, I mean that's the level of journalism that mainstream media's got. That's what they'll do. They get Gary Esseltine on. Gary Esseltine's got all this information about UFOs. They get him on Sky News, and then they said to him, "What's your favourite colour UFO?" That's the way it is, and we haven't got a media. We've got nobody that's asking pertinent questions. What we've got to do is, well, I don't know what we've got. I think we've just got to carry on and just be frustrated by all this nonsense that I don't even know who's taking it seriously. I don't know anybody who takes it seriously. Someone come to my door and said, and said to me, I don't know, and right, okay, and you're under arrest. Because what do we do? But how far does it go? Does it go to the point, right, where Tommy Robinson gets locked up in prison, right, and decides that he's going to identify as a pig so that Muslims won't fucking touch him? Is that where we're going? You know, it's just you can identify as whatever you want, and you're then afforded the protections given to those to whatever you're identifying as. You know, unfortunately, Tommy Robinson then wouldn't be able to, get any payments from his handlers as well, because I think they don't like pork either. But it's just getting so ridiculous, and this McCann case. I think we're quite a big start of it.
Certainly was for the media propaganda types. They picked McCann up and not only take things from people. It was to promote things. It was Jerry McCann was wanting examples made on the internet, so you can't hide behind your keyboard and call people names because people get upset. You can sit and you can have all these arguments all day long, but it's what is happening behind it. Why are these little things being taken? People say, I've heard this week, people are applauding the fact that it's rumoured that Donald Trump wants to pass a temporary bill to install martial law whilst he drains the swamp and makes all these arrests of people, including Obama and Hillary and all this kind of caper. what if my question was, what if the economy collapses whilst this temporary bill's in place? What happens then? Are they just going to take away martial law, or are they going to then? Are they in a position then with the kind of FEMA camps that they've got set up over there that they can just start to distribute people wherever they like? Yet people aren't thinking about a bigger picture. They still think politics is going to help. There's a bigger game here. There's a much, much, much bigger game, and people aren't looking at the bigger picture. It's a lot bigger than politics. Politics are done. Politics doesn't fix this. I don't know where people are on it on the pages. It's there's something absolutely, everything that is up is down. Everything is right is left. Everything is left is right. It's a complete mess. So what comes from a complete mess? They're just going to encourage this mess to the chaos, and then they'll come with a solution, whichever wins the chance to bring that solution. Because it seems like the upper echelons are arguing with each other now. So we don't know nobody knows what the crack is.
Well, I don't know. It's like you say, up is down, down is up. It's just ridiculous. We're being
bonkers.
We're being. I think who was it? Was it? I think you posted it, but there were a woman who'd written an article saying that these campaigners for transsexual rights were taken away from women's rights. You know, so they're even dividing up people on various different levels. You know, I think Gareth Ike put something up on Facebook about having to call somebody by the given name or something like that. And I actually wrote, it's a way to divide us. Everyone feels like they're a victim. First of all, you've got the transsexual people who feel like the victims because they're different to everybody else, right? And they probably do get a bit of stick because, you know, I've seen a few walking up and down here and they do look fucking ridiculous. Don't care what you say, they look ridiculous. It's a bloke dressed up with a wig, a cardigan, a short skirt, some high heels and a fucking handbag, right?
Is this where your Nando's story comes back in?
It's not, you know, you're not feminine at all. You're not feminizing yourself. What you're doing is you're just drawing attention to yourself for whatever. But it's.
I have to tell you, Jason, Gareth Ike got a friend. Somebody defriended me because of Gareth Ike this week. He posted something that I passed on, and it was a Daily Mail article. But he posted it because Alan Sugar apparently said that if Jeremy Corbyn gets into as PM, he's off. He's not staying in this country. So Gareth Ike posted it with his comment saying, oh, well, that's another vote for Corbyn, meaning he'd rather get rid of Alan Sugar. So that was the joke. I've just passed that on, didn't even put a comment on. I was accused as being as far left. I'm not having anybody who's far left on my Facebook, and deleted and blocked me. I couldn't believe it. That's the mentality of people that are saying that they know what's going on. That's the mentality of some of these people, and they are dividing. I don't know if he's part of trying to make this division. I've seen a few groups that I'm looking at right now where there's 2 or 3 people that are starting to look like they're there to take people down a garden path. And you can't convince people. You can't convince people of it. You've got to think for yourself. There's people who are following people, and there's people who are letting people down. You cannot. I was gonna, you know, swing by my own rope. Nobody did it for me. Nobody would do it for me. I had to try and do it myself. But if you're following people, I've seen it where people will use people as guinea pigs. I've got this theory. I've heard people try and go into a county court and quote Galatians. What is the point to talking to these people about it? If they're going to follow that kind of mentality and not think for themselves, you can't do this for anybody. we've had this discussion so many times, Jason. People couldn't do things for you. You had to do it yourself. You get to that point where somebody is not going to save you, as in voting for somebody who's the left wing and the right wing are the same fucking bird. They're still gonna fuck you.
And you're still going to be got shat on from a great height.
Very much so.
But yeah, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, you get people who will just defriend you just simply because you've got a completely different. And do you know what? Fuck yeah, I don't want it.
It was great. It was hilarious though, because that was his reasoning. He made sure that he told me, and then I couldn't, contact him and say, well, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Let's have a debate. No, none of that. I was far left just because I posted a Daily Mail article about
Daily Mail
sugar.
far left. Daily Mail far left. Are we talking same fucking? You said to him, Daily Mail far left. Are you having a fucking Tim Bath?
I couldn't say to him. He ran off. He ran off.
Well,
that's what I mean.
That's exactly the intellectual coward will fucking do that. They'll run off because if you question them, they've got no answers. They've got no answers. The only answers they've got is what they've had drilled into them by either BBC or some other shitty fucking network, and that's all they can see.
I think Barry's been drilled into by far more than that, mate. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that comment.
No, it is ridiculous. Yeah, but yeah, like I say, it makes victims. This transgender thing, it makes victims on both sides because well, on all sides, really. I mean, I saw a meme the other day, and it got the picture of a bloke, and it said, "This is so and so. He identifies as a girl, as a female, and he's going to be using the same toilets as your daughter. Are you happy about that? If you're not happy about that, you're a bigot.
Yeah.
And that's the point. They're making us feel, when you've got a point of view and you stick by that point of view, and well, you don't actually. I'm point of view fluid. I'm happy for somebody to say to me, I'm happy for somebody to point out what.
Is that what you're saying?
Is what? Sorry.
POV.
Yeah, I'm POV fluid.
POV.
I'm a POV fluid. Yeah, but people don't, do they? They stick rigidly, and once they're stuck, and then when you point some out, people have pointed things out to me that I've got wrong loads of times, and I just fine, brilliant.
Well, it's what they say, isn't it? If you point out to a fool that he's wrong, he won't thank you, but point it out to a wise man, and he will, because you're interested in learning. I want to be proved wrong if I'm wrong. Show me that I'm wrong. But when this isn't what's happening, it's people have just got an opinion, and that's the belief. I'm not going past that point. Boom, that's it, cut off. As I've said before, I was best man at a guy's wedding. Doesn't speak to me anymore. Will not speak to me because we're just polarities, poles apart. He thinks Winston Churchill's a war hero, and I don't. That's just on that minor subject. But when you start looking into this stuff, if you seriously start looking into it and you start seeing the agenda that is being pressed all around, we're talking about Madeleine McCann and the propaganda behind the media. You don't see it for anything else, yet they'll put really bad things. I mean, Tommy Robinson, for me, we were talking about Tommy Robinson having a handler. There's a lot of questions about Tommy Robinson. The Zionist connection, being in an IDF shirt on an Israeli tank, Israeli think tanks paying his legal fees, and yet the media and the judiciary, the media are saying, oh, he's looking at this, he's Muslim grooming gangs, and it's all that, and there's a Muslim element of like racism being whipped up on one side of it, and then you've got the real point of, yes, there is a problem with grooming gangs. There is a problem with Muslim grooming gangs as well as non-Muslim grooming gangs. I know Muslims who told me that there's been problems with Muslim grooming gangs. So it's not that there isn't a point there. It's what the media twist and turn it to whichever bent they want. and then they're interviewing people who would defriend you because of a Daily Mail article. I mean, basically what he did was he basically got onto a bus after me and I left a newspaper. He disagreed with an article in the paper I left. He got off the fucking bus to come and tell me about it and then go home. That's basically what he did. And that's the mentality, Jason. If people aren't going to look and say, right, no, I'm happy with that, well, fuck off, get out of my way then. Because that's not who I want to talk to.
But Paul, I mean, why could he not just go, oh, fucking hell, and chuck it to one side and that's it? Why does it have to end in the defriending? You know, what was the article? I'm going to rape your sister.
No, it was Alan Sugar. It was Alan Sugar. Alan Sugar's going to leave the country if Jeremy Corbyn gets in. And Gareth Icke said, oh, well, that's another vote for Corbyn, meaning he'd vote for Corbyn to get Alan Sugar out of this country. I passed on the article and Gareth Icke's comment was on it. All of a sudden, I was a far left. I wasn't being on his friends list anymore.
Oh, dear.
I was devoed. Took me ages to get to sleep that night.
I bet you. I mean, I'm devastated for you. I'm sat here now, and I've got to say, I am devastated for you because he sounds like a really fucking good guy to know. You know, it sounds like the sort of bloke that you'd go to if you were in a fix.
Definitely. I thought if I ever need anything, I'll reach out to Barry. I think Barry's the man to help me.
Good old Barry. Right, well, we're at 57 minutes, so we're nearly at 8 o'clock. So it's about time we took a break. I think I need to wheel myself over to have a bit of a slash and stuff. So what we got lined up, Andy? Have we got all lined up for the break?
Yeah, we've got about 6 minutes of...
Can't hear you, Andy.
Turn it up, Andy. We can't hear you, mate.
Sorry, guys, got myself muted there. We've got 6 minutes of comedy for you tonight because the music's not been coming out very good lately. So enjoy Bill Hicks.
So I don't drink. I don't do drugs anymore. I used to take drugs and I quit. But I'll tell you something. I have nothing against drugs whatsoever. That's kind of weird, huh? You've never heard that one? Used to take drugs, quit, and have nothing against them. Wow, never heard that. Let's hear more. Okay. I'll tell you something else. I know this is not a very popular idea. You don't hear it very often anymore, but it's the truth. I have taken drugs before, and I had a real good time. Sorry. Didn't murder anybody, didn't rob anybody, didn't rape anybody, didn't beat anybody, didn't lose one fucking job, laughed my ass off, and went about my day. Sorry. Now, where's my commercial? Shit, I'll be the guy holding that skillet in that commercial, man. That ain't a brain, that's breakfast. Let's eat. Shh. What have we been up, 5 days now? I'm fucking starving. I find that commercial a tad insulting to my intelligence. You know the one, here's your brain. I've seen a lot of things on drugs, but I have never, ever, ever looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain, not once. I have seen UFOs split the sky like a sheet, but I have never looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain, not once. I have had 7 balls of light come off of a UFO, lead me onto their ship, explain to me telepathically that we are all one and there's no such thing as death. But I've never looked at an egg and thought it was a fucking brain. Now, maybe I wasn't getting good shit, but that's what I hate about the war on drugs. I'll be honest with you. It's what I can't stand. It's all day long. We see those commercials. Here's your brain on drugs. Just say no. Why do you think they call it dope? And then the next commercial is this buzz for you. Come on, everybody, let's be hypocritical bastards. It's okay to drink your drug. We meant those other drugs, those untaxed drugs. Those are the ones that are bad for you. Nicotine, alcohol, good drugs. Coincidentally, tax drugs. Ooh, how does this fucking work? Thank God they're taxing alcohol, man. It means we got those good roads we can get fucked up and drive on. Thank God they're taxing this shit, man. We'd be doing donuts in a wheat field right now. Thank God we're on a highway. Woo, this is a good drug. Because I'll tell you something, I'll be honest, man. If I were going to legalize a drug, it sure wouldn't have been alcohol. Sorry, there's better drugs and better drugs for you. That's a fact. You may stop your internal dialogue. But Bill, alcohol is an acceptable form. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. Okay? Okay. Shit, man. Not only do I think marijuana should be legalized, I think it should be mandatory. I'm a hardliner. Think about it, man. You get in traffic behind somebody. Shut up and smoke that. It's the law. Oh, sorry. I was taking life seriously. Oh, man. Who's hungry? That'd be a nice world, wouldn't it? Quiet, mellow, hungry, high people everywhere. Just Domino's pizza trucks passing each other. Every single highway, parades of Domino's. Let them get stuck in traffic. All our pizzas will be free. I'm a fucking dreamer, man. But I'm not the only one. Dreamers, man. Pot is a better drug than alcohol. Fact. Fact. Stop your internal dialogue. But Bill, alcohol. Shut up. You're wrong. Get over it. Okay? Okay. I'll prove it to you, man. You're at a ball game or a concert and someone's really violent and aggressive and obnoxious. Are they drunk or are they smoking pot? Which is it? They're drunk. I have never seen people on pot get in a fight because it is fucking impossible. Hey, buddy. Hey, what? Hey, hey. End of argument.
And I think we're welcoming back to Raconteurs News. There we go. Welcome back to Raconteurs News. This Monday evening. It's the 8th of October, 2018. A bit of Bill Hicks there. What a guy. Sadly missed. I mean, died in 1994. I think that's when he died, 1994. What a great comedian, and I hope you enjoyed that because we've decided that. Well, we haven't decided. We're doing a bit of a test to see whether playing a record at halftime is worth it, and whether or not playing a bit of comedy might just be a little bit better. It might keep people occupied as well. So let us know what you think of that, and if you prefer the music or you want a record playing, then no problem whatsoever. That's what we do here at Raconteurs News. Well, tonight we had our guest Alan Vinnicome. I'll just suggest that it is. He doesn't. Say that again. And we're lost again. I think. Well, I think we've lost the. I think we've lost the.
I can hear you.
You can hear me, can you? Right. I've turned my camera off.
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. I couldn't do when you had camera up, but I can now.
We're going to say something, Andy.
No, I just unmuted to say that I'd knocked your camera off because you were losing your bandwidth again. That's all, mate. We seem to be having problems with Alan rejoining this call. I've done everything that I can possibly see to do to add him to the call, but blocked people. Hang on, there's no blocked people, so it shouldn't be that. No, I just can't work out why he's gone off the Hangout and he can't seem to get back.
Oh dear.
It's not in your circle still, right? Let me just try something and we'll try and get him back then.
You do your magic, me and Jason will hold the fort.
Yeah.
Go on then, start holding fort, Webby.
Oh, it's my turn now, is it? Well, bills of exchange.
Oh yeah.
Going back to what we were saying about how the media is they're playing this game, and there's a massive puppet show, and everybody's caught going, oh, he's behind you. No, he's not. Everybody's caught doing all that. And when you actually look at it from a higher perspective, you can see that the game is all rigged. Everything that people have got an opinion about, or being told that they should have an opinion about, like Brexit and all that kind of caper, it's all being forced upon people, and people are not thinking. They're just having that, what you were talking about, Jason, that knee-jerk reaction where they're in that belief system. And it takes a lot to get past that speed bump, because they get to a certain point and it reboots, and they can't get past it. And sometimes they've got to keep going and going and going until there's that breakthrough. I've seen it happen with people. My godson, he's come through completely through the indoctrination system, school, college, university. If it wasn't in the textbooks he read at university, it wasn't true, Jason. So everything that I was saying was a load of rubbish until he actually went and researched it for himself. And he did that to prove me wrong. And he came and apologized. Because, he got to a point, it got that heated that he wanted to defend that position of him being wrong in the end. Fundamentally, he had to admit that he was wrong. But he got to a point where he fell out with me because he was willing to defend that position, because it can't be wrong. He can't be wrong, because that would then start to dismantle part of the structure that he's built on the foundation that could be a lie, which I believe is total lies, because my mum and dad passed that lie on to me. My grandparents passed it on to them. That cycle's got to be broken. Otherwise, you still vote for Labour. Why? Because my dad did. It's not a good enough reason anymore.
Yeah, but surely people can perhaps I'm giving them a little bit more credit than perhaps they deserve, but because there are people. The thing is with politics and with stuff like Brexit, people get bored of it because their attention span's been put down to the amount of time that they can be attentive is perhaps for an hour a week, 10 weeks out of a year when X Factor's on, or when Big Brother's on, and they can only people can't concentrate, have got a concentration level that is so. Well, I think it's been destroyed. People's attention span has completely been destroyed, and it's that everything's now. It's instant. Everything's got to be. It's got to be instant. I've got a stepson the other week. he'd been at work and he came home and he was in his. It was something like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's a knock on the door, and he goes down. He picks up a parcel from Amazon. I says, "What are they doing delivering on Sunday?" He says, "Oh, I've got Amazon Prime, so they'll deliver straight away." I said, "When did you order it?" I said, "About an hour ago." So, you know, that's what they've got. They've got where they can just go on. They don't even have to go out anymore. I had to go out. I had to go out and buy a record or go and buy something that I wanted, and I had to save up for it. But now it's like you can just go, oh, well, hang on, it's on my phone. Amazon Prime, I've got that. Yeah, there's Sheffield. Yeah, this is where they'll deliver to within an hour or whatever. And they do it. And it's just, you know, how do you get... and I know Adi would probably say elevator statements or something else. But how do you get people to start thinking about things when, let's just say if somebody and you got them talking, you got them to think about something. So, you know, some of the stuff you talk about, bills of exchange, all that. If you got them to think about it, and they were thinking about it, how long before? Liverpool Man U's on next week, comes into the red and just completely disperses everything you've said? Or do you think that could act as a seed?
I thought it could. I thought it could, and in many ways it does. I speak to some people, they get it straight away. You see the light bulb go on and they've got it straight away. Then you get other people who will argue with you and say that I'm wrong, but then they can't prove that I'm wrong because it's not wrong. And that they then struggle with that because I'm telling them that they can't pay for the gas. It's impossible. It's a debt-based economy. You're trying to pay debt with debt. You're making it worse. You need to endorse this remedy, and that's how it settles. The trouble is the gas companies, the utility companies, are pretending everybody's a commercial interest, and they're ignoring the remedy. And then when they're taking people to courts for imaginary warrants for monetary disputes that can't exist, the courts are helping them. So they're protecting multi-billion-pound profits here. That's the problem that people are up against. But people can't get past the fact that they can't pay for something. They still talk about a £10 note being money. Well, £10 note is worth whatever two parties agree it's worth. It could be worth a pen. It could be worth a car. If the two parties agree, that is worth it. So those promises are worth that product. That's all it is. And then I can put it with my promises and go and promise to pay for something else. You try and tell people of thought, they'd be over the moon because they could then start raking back and taking control of all their money, what they call money. You know, I said, how much better off would you be with your gas, water and electric and your council tax gone? I said, wow, it'd be like 200 quid a month. I said, well, do you not think that's better? Said, well, yeah. Then why don't you learn this before, you know, learn it. Don't just go and do it, learn it. Well, I've not got time for this. So they're willing to go and do overtime to pay those bills that they can't pay and make the debt worse rather than go and do the research because it is too much like hard work. If anybody thought that I wanted to sit down and read the bills of exchange 10 years ago, you must be mad. You know, Harry Potter was on. I'd rather watch that than read the Bills of Exchange Act.
All right, that's it. That's enough now. You've gone mad. I'd rather read the Bills of Exchange and listen to you talk about it than watch Harry Potter. And that's
But that's what I mean. It took that slap for me to go and do it, and I think that's what you're talking about, Jason. Is we're waiting for that to happen, and it is happening. People are taking things on left, right, and centre, but people want results, and people want it with a court stamp on a nice seal and say, "Look, that I've done it." You're not going to get that proof because people have got to take these as claims, and the system is designed to protect it. When you challenge that system, the media, like it is now, are their attack dogs. They now start to focus. The police are used the same. They used armed police on me. I didn't want to sell my house. and the armed police came to say, oh, you should sell your house, there's something not right. And that is all part of what this system is. And you've got people who seem to be able to dodge that system that anybody else would get pummeled by. The McCanns are a prime example for that.
Yeah, well, I just want to mention a few people. I want to say hello to some people in the chat room who are contributing in the chat room. There's been millions and millions of messages. We've got some people saying free Jeremy Bamber. We're getting that as well. We're getting Deb's Rich, Mandy Gold's in there. Hiya, Mandy. I'd like some of the stuff you share on Facebook, some of the live videos and stuff. I do like to get stuck into a few of them. Deb Rich, Tracy Ellis, Sophia Delve, hello. Tracy Ellis Roberts, loads of Sane Man, Super Leeds is probably in there as well. Dinny's in there as well. Hiya, Dinny. I hope you're having a good time wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And that really could be anything. If you knew Dinny, you'll know that that could be anywhere and doing anything. So I hope you're having a good time, Dinny. Andrew K. Fletcher's in there as well. If you've not heard of Andrew K. Fletcher, I suggest you have a look at his profile and his inclined bed therapy, which we've featured on Raconteurs News many, many times. He's well, what a great guy. I'm hoping he's going to be able to grow my leg back, but no news on that so far. Blazing Stars in there, James Owen. There's absolutely loads of people in the chat room. Keep contributing, keep getting in touch with each other as well. That's what it's all about. We like to talk about these things and make sure that we all stick together and we get a good community going up here. I think that's what we're trying to do here, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, and I'd really like to thank everybody who's taken a bit of time to like the Raconteurs page on Facebook over the past week or so. It's, we've had lots and lots. It's skyrocketed really in comparison. Considering back in January when we were talking about this and we were going to see where it went after the car crashes that we've had in the past, and we just said we were going to let this go organic, and we've been put in touch with people now, decent guests with substance. They know what they're talking about. They're bringing evidence. They've done things, and that's got other people who've already tried and attempted those who are getting in touch. They want to now talk about it. But one of the best things I've seen is other shows like this. People who just within the midst of all the chaos get together as when they can to try and talk, as you said at the start of the show, put some sanity back into this bonkers world and let's have a debate about things. Other shows are now wanting to get in touch with each other you had a couple of guys on a month or so back, didn't you, from a show, and there's other people now getting in touch who want to share what they've learned and learn what we've learned, because we've all got pieces of the puzzle. Nobody's got the answers.
Yeah,
collectively we have.
You're talking about the guys from Unite Planet. Andy, give me them boys' names, because I know one of them's been in hospital over the weekend. So I think we probably should give him a shout out.
Yeah, I believe it was Paul. Paul had some sort of an infection or something, was in hospital. I just spotted it on Facebook over the weekend. So Paul and Johnny.
Paul and Johnny.
Get well soon, Paul.
And they're at Unite Planet. You can search that on Facebook as well. So join in with them. Join in with we want everybody. If you like it, like Paul said, our page is in comparison to what it has before in the last couple of weeks has really I wouldn't say exploded, but it's the amount of likes that we're getting and the amount of coverage that we're getting as well is really encouraging. So a big thanks to everyone who supported us all the way through. I mean, we've had some proper listeners, some proper super fans, shall we call them, and people that also John Hull as well, who does who writes up the show notes. He's a great supporter of Raconteurs News and does some great input as well. So thank you to you, John. So Paul, we were talking Maddie McCann earlier on.
If I could just jump in there, Jason, before you hand over to Paul. It appears that for whatever reason, now Alan's got back home, Google Hangouts won't let him rejoin the Hangout. So it says he's not in our circles, but I've added him to one of my circles and it's not letting him on whatever he seems to do. So I have said to Alan, if we can't get him back on tonight, then we'll try and get him back on next Monday if he's available then. I know we've got Ben Emlyn Jones booked for next Tuesday. I don't think we've got anybody booked for next Monday, have we?
No, but this is for a production meeting, really, rather than on air.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just letting the listeners know we are doing I'm doing my best to get Alan back on, but Google Hangouts is really not having it. So we'll do our best to get him back on next week if he's available.
That's a pity. Okay, no worries. But well, just going back to that then, Jason, going on talking about Alan's work, it's people just like yourself and me and Andy that have got frustrated with the system. They've decided to draw a line and start to ask questions about it, and from that, putting videos out there, he's got other people interested, and people are contacting him, and people are giving him information, and it's started to create what you were saying is that community, and we're trying to get all these communities that are now coming together because. It's interesting and it's a pertinent subject to talk about the McCann case, but when you see so many other factors of what we discuss, when you strip it down, is the media coverage, the politicians getting involved, the police being controlled, the magistrate, the judiciary. You just see the control structure. People can be distracted because it's Madeleine McCann. So. It's like 9/11. If you don't strip 9/11 down, then it's just going to be a horrific incident that happened. What time's Love Island on? That's what it's going to be like for people.
Yeah, it is. Listen, I'm just looking through. We're just looking through some of the comments. Alley Cat George has she's put a bit of a plea out, just saying. If she'd like to connect with some more people on Facebook, her name's Alley Cat George. You can find her there. So get in touch with Alley Cat George. I've met her personally a few months ago. So I know she's a good-hearted soul and really dedicated to the cause, as we all are. But we all have his own restricted way of being able to do it, don't we? So it's whatever you can do. Is that would that be your message, Webby? Just do whatever you can do. Don't try and reach for the stars, and don't try and do too much. And also, I think the one of the biggest messages is try to have your own shit in place before you try to make the world a better place for everyone else, because if your world's all chaotic and you're not going to be any use to anybody. So that's, I'm not saying don't help anybody, but always try to keep yourself in this, because it can be a long, and it can be a lonely, and it can be sometimes you can feel despairing on this journey. You really can. You can think, well, my God, well, and it's going through your head. You can't understand why other people can't see what you can see. So one of the messages that I would give is make sure that you're sorted, your home life, everything that's around you is good and it's sorted, and then you can do something. But do whatever you can. Anything is whatever it is, whether it's not paying your council tax or not paying your TV license. I think that's probably the easiest one, is just don't pay your TV license. Just tell them, write to them and say, look, I don't require a TV license anymore. They'll send you a letter saying that they'll not come for 2 years. And I think that was about 6 years ago here. So, just that one little thing, everybody can contribute and everybody can make a difference, can't they, to the greater good.
Yeah, but understand why you don't have to pay for a TV license. Understand why you're not liable to pay for this stuff. Learn if you're not going to do anything, because I know people who've just unplugged and said, right, I'm doing nothing, and they've been attacked, they've had everything taken. You know, this isn't. It's not a joke thing to be playing about with. But if you don't, you're just selling your kids down the river like we were sold down the river, like our parents were. Where do we draw the line? Because it's happened to us, we pass it on. I mean, my daughter will carry on with what this system is because she doesn't understand anything else about it. She takes photographs. She lives in a cucumber castle with unicorns on top of cherry oak tree. My daughter won't understand this, so I've got to say, hang on a minute, this is a little bit unfair. We can't do what you're asking us to do. You're putting people in jail for not paying for council tax that not only they're not liable for, but they cannot pay. There's something wrong, and it's rotten, and people have got to draw that line. Again, it came to me, punched me in the face and kicked me in the balls. That's how I got involved in doing this, because it changes your life. You start to, I had somebody contact me earlier on the week that they wanted to challenge a utility company, and he had the gist of it, and I says, yeah, you need that's the correct instrument, what you need to use and everything. I says, but I'm telling you now, if you're going to do this, your good life will change. Your life will change beyond anything that you've ever done before. And if you've got kids and if you've got a wife, this will affect them. And you can't just go off and do this stuff. And I've seen people get so outraged. You know, I've seen people jumping in front of police cars, pissed out their heads, shouting, you oppress us, because they're that angry. They just don't know what to do with that anger. So they go off on one, and then they don't know. They end up in a situation where they're in court and they don't know what they're talking about. Even though they understand it, they can't articulate it, and they get tied up and they get done. And it's all done and dusted before you've even got in there. It's just how we don't know how to act. We don't know how to do anything. We're like babies in this system. And my urgence would be learn. Go and read and learn. Watch EastEnders Omnibus, something like that, and do a bit of study. And try to understand the duality as what's been given to us to what the reality is. We play in a game world with paper money. I posted a meme the other day about the Monopoly rules, the rules for Monopoly. Read the Monopoly rules. What happens when a bank has no money?
Number 11.
Yeah, it doesn't run out. It writes it on ordinary pieces of paper. It tells you everything what the banking system is in the game. It's what it's based on. But people don't think. People aren't designed in this socially engineered reality to think. Too busy. Want a nation of workers, not thinkers. Yet sometimes people get taken out of the game for a good period of time, and they've got nothing to do but think and research. And people put pieces together. And then when you take your pieces and you throw them down on a table with a load of other people and start sifting through those pieces, yeah, you get a few squabbles, but we're all looking at the same puzzle. For fuck's sake, let's stop all this arguing and thinking I know this and I know that, because I certainly don't. I want this system not just ended with nothing in place. There's a way to do it. I heard somebody say, take control of the nation's money supply. We haven't done that. Yet when we did back at the Bradbury Pound era, we settled our books, we balanced our books. That's the only time. So why don't we do it again? Because that's not what they want. Hitler did it. Within 6 years, he took a country that you couldn't buy a loaf of bread with a wheelbarrow full of cash to the second biggest superpower in the world in 6 years. How did he do that? He got rid of the central banking system and he invested into his country, and he invested the workers who invested back into the country. They've got family cars. They're going off on package holidays. Within 6 years ago, wheelbarrow, they had to get rid of a wheelbarrow to get a loaf. There's something wrong in the system, and it's all it takes is for good people to sit around and do nothing. If they're going to do that, at least understand it, at least learn it.
Well, you can't really. I understand what you're saying, but you can't really blame people for not learning it, can you? I mean, it just as an example, if somebody's in a job, a well-paid job, or they might know that this is the case, but they ignore it to a certain extent because it's in their best interest.
Or it's not touched them yet. They're under the radar. They're paying their bills. Everything's nice. Hey, we've just come back from Turkey. Everything's all right. But it's when something happens and they miss a payment through no fault of their own, and then they struggle for the next one, then the next one. We've heard Adi talk about it through his financial dealings, where people fell behind. These banks aren't allowing you to offer a remedy, whereas, hey, I can't afford that, I'll pay you this. They're saying, no, we'll come for your property. This is all part of the agenda to take that property. When I said people have got to learn it, we were talking about if people wanted to do something, learn it first rather than go off and do something and then try and learn it. Because I was struggling to learn it as I did it, never mind do it and then fall on my face and then try and relearn it. Try and do it straight. And the best piece of advice I ever had was make it simple. Get the argument to the most simplistic argument there is. Give them nothing to go away from. Hit them with that simple argument. Don't go from it. And that's about it. If it's not simple, it's not been correct.
And that's the key to everything.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm an new. I think I'm going to start this new political party, which I'm obviously going to be leader of, because I'm the best looking out of everybody that's listening to this or in this. It's the Punk Party. I think I've brought this up before. I think I thought that all these different groups, anti-racism, anti-homophobic, anti-transgender, and there's all these different factions of different ones. There's kick it out for racism, and then there's give racism the red card, and all this utter shit. We could replace them all with don't be a cunt. So all these football teams come out with the t-shirts on with the little mascots, holding hands, and they come out to talking with the t-shirts on over the football with "Don't be a cunt" written on it. And there you go. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to be, because what you'll get then is oh, hang on, the racism campaign gets more government funding or government backing than it does the let's kick out cancer. I mean, what are you going to do with kicking out cancer?
Well, you're not going to cause much division. You're not going to cause much division with that manifesto, are you? Don't be a cunt, because the only opposition is you'd be a cunt, and that means that's simple. That is far too simple. So that's the simplicity of this. That you're hitting the nail on the head. Why is it not that simple? It's not that simple because if it was, we would see how all this worked, and these people wouldn't be going away with it anymore.
Yeah, but again, they've rigged the system, haven't they? The system's rigged. The education system, forget it. Are you going to be told what an AP? Are you going to be told what how to fill in for a credit card, or any of your rights when you get a credit card? These are all things that you're going to need when you get older. When you take out a mortgage, what's the implications when you take out a mortgage? And even if it's a skewed version of what the reality is, at least it's something, and at least it's giving the kids some. I thought that was school were all about. It was supposed to give you a springboard into adulthood, so that you'd be equipped with all the knowledge, and you'd be able to be an adult, and you'd be able to make decisions and do things. But you don't know anything about APR. You don't know anything about, like you say, money. You don't know anything about how it's created. You don't know anything about the country's in debt simply because you are able to work, and that's the only reason that the country's able to, in this stupid economy. It doesn't even work on like a childish let's play a game kids in a school playground. We've got a game. Let's play Civilization. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll be over here, and then the Chinese kid, he can be over here. The Scouse kid, he can be, England. And you play this. It's almost like a game of top trumps against each other, or seemingly playing against each other. So this here. Oh, right. Top. You ever played top trumps? Yeah, here. But you get some cards, and then you pick some whatever, and whoever's got the best wins. So if you're America, you've got best military, so you always win, unless you're China or Russia. It's just how it's playing out. I'm sure there's going to be a day, one day, when I say to somebody who's watching about EastEnders or something, and I'll say, it's not real, they'll go, you're a conspiracy theorist. Of course it's real.
I tell you, you've seen it with Deirdre Rashid. Free Deirdre from prison when she got arrested and put away in Coronation Street. People actually signed petitioned to release Deirdre. And it's when you've got a population who think or are comfortable enough to think that that's life and that's how easy life is that their struggle is to just get up, go to work, pay their bills, and then get home and watch Coronation Street. That is what most people's life is. That's what I was told life was going to be. You were saying about APRs and stuff like that. We're not taught them. Well, we wouldn't need to actually be taught them unless we wanted to engage in that commerce. So a lot of people wouldn't need to know that. But the fact is, when we had Alex Thompson on here, he confirmed, because he's obviously been to the private schools, that Eton, they are taught the Bills of Exchange Act by the age of 11 because they need to know it, because that's where they steal all our equity. These people do not pay bills because they understand they can't. They exchange and trade debts. They do that by endorsements. And they are taking our endorsements because they're being siphoned off to abandoned funds because we're not claiming them, because we don't know how to. And then now people have started to try and claim them. They're pretending that you're dead, that you don't exist. How can they do that? You stood there, obviously. There's no point standing there saying, I'm a man, because you're in the wrong jurisdiction for this free man stuff. It's correct what you're saying. Without that, you can't engage in this commerce. Everything's right. But going into that jurisdiction and saying that it's pointless. But the remedy's all in the legislation. It's trying to find it, but it's made so complicated that you must find out what is not written there almost. And it is always there that points to it. It was amazing how something so simple could be pointed out to me. So like the Consumer Credit Act, when I'm reading a section, I rang my mate up and said, I think you're wrong about this. And he says, what have you read up to? I said, paragraph 4. He said, read section 5. Penny dropped. And it was just one paragraph that took all that other away. And it's about deciphering what they're writing, because they write a load of bollocks about everything, and words that counteract each other. And you've got to try and decipher all that. Like non-domestic means commercial, and non-commercial would mean domestic. You've got, rather than just put it in plain English, they don't do that. So when we go into the jurisdiction, we should get a translator, but we don't know how to call for that. We're not getting recognised. We're just being steamrolled. So it's the first point of call is the county courts, where all the dogs are, all the little county courts. That's where all the dogs are. That's part of this massive system that is using police, that is using politicians, that is using media propaganda. And yet we start to see these odd people that get exemptions from this. Again, we started the show talking about the McCanns, and it comes back to, how can this couple have this devastating event happen to them, yet all the spotlight's on them, Then you get the cover of the dogs. Then you get this evidence where the police say we're not looking for anybody else. Yeah, our police say, hey, hang on a minute, you've done it all wrong. We know what we're doing. And what, we're 10 years on? What's going on, Jason?
Who knows? Who knows what's going on? The McCann's thing is really. I mean, we started off with that, didn't we? I mean, we've got about 20 minutes left, so it's probably our guest has not been able to join us back on the show. He's been having some problems with Google Hangout. I'm sure you heard Andy earlier on telling. But we're going to get him on. I believe we're working behind the scenes. He's well, like a swan. Peaceful and elegant on top, but underneath his little legs are paddling away, and he things sorted. So next week we're probably going to have Mr. Vinnicome on, and hopefully we'll be able to have a really good connection and be able to talk with him. But from what I've watched a few of his films, and I'd suggest anybody, it's Armchair Detective on YouTube. You can find lots of his videos on there, and he's got quite a comprehensive catalogue of videos up there covering all different aspects, quite in depth as well. But which ones did you stuck in your mind, Paul?
Just repeat that bit again, Jason, because you're breaking up this end, pal.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether my internet is being crap or what, which probably would make sense as it's Sky, and Murdoch's a complete and utter wanker. I think they throttle it when it's got a lot of people on. So I did.
Can hear you now. I can hear you clear though. Go on, say again. Sorry.
I was just saying we're going to have. Week, and I was just mentioning that he's got quite a lot of videos online. So if people share Detective, there's a lot of Madeleine McCann videos covering all different aspects of it as well. Did you most intriguing?
Well, I like I said, Alan has got a lot of videos out about the McCann case, but they're very palatable because a lot of them are like 10, 15 minutes. A lot of people, you were talking about earlier about attention spans. Some people haven't got an attention span for longer than 10 or 15 minutes. Some people haven't even got time more than 10 or 15 minutes to have a quick look. So, and what he does, he sits there and he just asks questions. And the questions that have raised pertinent questions that haven't been answered, haven't even been looked at. And then when those questions have been looked at, the public relations have stepped in and sideswiped, and Jerry McCann's spat his dummy out and stamped his feet and got his own way over things. And how do things like that happen over certain people? You know, it wouldn't happen for anybody else. So what's the connection here? We've heard all the speculation, we've seen the Freemason stuff, but that still doesn't mean, how does the Prime Minister step in? The Prime Minister's not stepped in for a lot of people. And I just don't get it. If people can't think that there's something wrong with that, then those people, I don't know whether you could ever help those people, but I think there's a lot of people who've got all the questions what Alan's got, believe that there's something awry that's gone wrong, and they want something done about it, but they don't know what to do about it. And then life takes over, they've got bills to pay, and blah, 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 and it doesn't affect them. And then you've got the fear factor with the stuff that we're talking about with the bills. You're saying, don't stop paying bills. People don't know what to do. People don't know how to function without paying bills. I mean,
on the McCann thing, what do you think about the, I mean, nations, they were, the McCanns and the friends were a big bunch of swingers. And obviously in that sort of situation, the kids are going to be all popped away because there's not going to be nobody's going to say, "Oh, husband swingers convention that we're having today, or the party, and I'll stop here. He's not. That's not going to. There is that there. Also, there are questions about some of the company that Jerry particularly was keeping, and Brown issue as well. It also, I think there's also a tie-in there with Gordon Brown, Jerry McCann, and Thomas Hamilton, who was the guy that did Dunblane. So the story. It seems to. It goes out in all sorts of different directions. You can make connections to everything through the people that are actually in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's bigger than that little girl, isn't it? How big the ramifications of it? It's got bigger than that little girl. That little girl's been forgotten about, and then it's brought forward saying, "Oh, she's missing. Oh, is she over there? Oh, is she over there? Oh, we'll need some more money." When all the evidence points at that little girl's not here anymore. And yet people want to believe, because people don't think that parents could do that. I mean, parents maybe act not correctly out of sheer panic or grief over something like that. But to not answer questions, to have a public relations, 48 questions, no comment. Your kid's missing. What do you mean, no comment? It's stuff like that I can't get past. As soon as I get suspicions about stuff like that, I can't get past that, because there's no point getting past it, because there's a question. There's no point going past that question until you've got that. You don't jump around, an analogy or a program until you get to that next box, do you? You get into one box, you answer that question. If you've not got the answer, you've got to stay there with a yes or a no.
We got a pertinent. Sorry, Paul. We got a pertinent comment in the chat room that Andy's popped into the little group chat that we've got here, and it's from quite a while ago. I think it's from 7:45. So it's. But I wanted to get it in anyway. It's from Jason Mills. Good evening, Jason. Cracking name. It will get you a lot of sex, I promise you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Since when did a missing child become a threat to national security? Our government have sealed the McCann files for 100 years. And then there's one other that. Yeah. So So the government have sealed the McCann files. I mean, why seal files? And if they're sealed, how can they be investigated upon? How can they be looked through to be investigated if they're sealed? So they've obviously given up on it.
Well, at the end of the day, again, if people buy this stuff, if people just swallow it, then there's nothing for these people. These are people who will stand and wave flags while the Queen drives past them and fucking pisses herself, laughing while these flag wavers stand there. It's a ridiculous society that we've got, where we've got so much mental illness going around. You can't, people say, "Oh, you can't say that." You've said it yourself, Jason, where somebody said to you, "You can't say that." And you went, "What do you mean I can't say it? Of course I can say it." You've got to be able to say it. People are getting offended by too many things far too easily.
But the thing is, Paul,
go on, sorry.
The thing is, Paul, is that people are becoming offended on behalf of other people. Yeah. On behalf of other people that they don't even fucking know. Right. So when the incident you were talking about is when I said to my nurse, so she says, "Have we come down on your crutches?" I said, "No, I've got my spaz chariot outside." "Oh, you can't call it that." I said, "I can. It's my spaz chariot. My badge is my spaz badge. My disabled badge is my spaz badge. That's my spaz chariot." What? Why? Why can I not say it? You're able-bodied. Why can I not say that?
I don't get it.
I wouldn't go up to somebody who's disabled and say you're a spaz. I'd just say I'm a spaz, or we're fellow spazzers. It's just like Why can't people have a bit of a sense of humor about things and not be so serious? I mean, it's always fucking serious. You gotta fucking, oh God. Like I were up near Sheffield University the other day, and we're in car. Obviously, my missus is driving because I can't drive at the moment. And I got window down, and there were all these fucking. We're right outside university. There's all these fucking students going past on crossing, loads and tons of them. So I wound window down and I shouted out at window, "Is it playtime?" And the amount of looks I got, they were like people fucking looking at me and like thinking, I could see in their head thinking, where's my safe space? Where's my safe space? Oh, I've got to find my safe space. Somebody's just asked me if I'm on playtime. You know, it's everyone seems to be so on edge and so looking for things to be I mean, that's not even offensive, is it? Playtime, for fuck's sake, you're at university, you're essentially at school. I mean, you've been indoctrinated into some crappy system that you've got no control over, and you're just going to be a robot anyway. And as soon as I say, is it playtime, you know, the people that were looking at me, you could see that it were just, some of them had panic in their eyes, and it's just got to a point where being a pussy, it's the thing. And also, if you think about it as well, you are, the more effeminate you are, and the more you perhaps want to change genders because you perhaps perceive it not to be quite as risky being a woman. And because if you transition from a man to a woman, you're not going to get fucking raped, are you? For fuck's sake. So, you know, it's probably a safer thing to be a woman, and that's why a lot of people will probably see that as an option, because they've been brought up to be afraid of absolutely everything.
Well, I can't get my head around it. I was reading some.
Did anybody hear that? Anybody at all?
Yeah, everything apart from it went a bit echo at the end, but everything was all right. I was reading some statistics that mental health is up 40% in this country. Everybody's suffering with some form of mental illness or on some kind of medication. I know people myself that have just, you know, I just need some antidepressants. They've just put me on 5 mil of antidepressants. If you need 5 milligram of antidepressants, you're not depressed. You're not depressed because 5 mil won't do anything. It takes 3 months for it to get into your system before it'll start doing anything. But these people, the doctors, they're too quick to just give this medication out. But because the services aren't there, because of, again, no money to help people through, you know, what should really be minor matters when you're talking about debt. But the social engineering aspect and the vultures involved in bailiffs and the courts and everything are putting people into positions where, you know, there was a guy just a few weeks back hanging himself with a note ready for the bailiffs. Council tax. He's not liable for it. It's a commercial property tax. He's swinging because of a bill that he cannot pay, and he's not liable for. Yet they're enforcing it as like he is. It's that social system. People know it's wrong, yet people don't do anything. And we've said so many times, all it takes is for those good people to carry on watching Love Island and do nothing. And then you've got this scale tipping the opposite way, because you will get the people who will go out on the streets and they will fight, and they're the ones that are being whipped up. And you need to balance that out. You've got to think about this. How can we do it? We'll stop paying, stop funding their system, take control of it. Speak to your MPs, take control of your MPs. Don't let them make decisions. Don't let them say, this is what we'll do for you. Don't let this party say, this is what we're going to do. tell the parties what they should be doing. And that is number one, taking control of that money. As long as you've not got control of this money supply, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what legislation you put. They've told you this. I don't care who makes your laws, give me control of your money. If we have control of our money, we've got control of everything. You don't need the EU, you don't need anybody. You start training people, we start manufacturing, and we start trading, as we've always done. But maybe with a bit more transparency and a little bit less war.
Yeah, we've got a question, not a question, a comment that's been Andy's posted into the group chat. It's from the chat room. It's from Sophia Delve, and I'm going to assume your gender here and say she.
How dare you?
She says the Supreme Court in Lisbon ruled in February that the McCanns have never been cleared of involvement in their daughter's disappearance. And I think that's the underlying part, isn't it? They've never been cleared. They've never been exonerated. And let's face it, in the eyes of anybody who has any sort of free thinking skills, critical thinking skills, they've got a number of questions to answer.
Well, as Alan pointed out in his videos, that the first port of call are the parents. Not only did you have, as I think you said earlier, Jason, it's the one who reports it is investigated first. That was the parent as well. Yet they've still not been cleared. Yet the first port of call is if they do not clear the parents, they stick with the parents. Why, if we claim that Scotland Yard is supposed at MI5 and meant to be the best services in the world for this kind of caper, why have we got people who, some of them, as Alan points out in his films, some of these people who are part of the PR scam, they're not even here anymore. Convicted forgers, convicted fraudsters, we're all involved in this McCann fund. There's something not right. Something's not right.
Something's not right.
Well, not right.
That's probably a right note to finish on. So that something's not right. It's not quite been the show that we anticipated tonight, but don't worry, we will get Alan back on next Monday. I believe we're striving for, and hopefully things will go a little bit better. And probably I'll sit that one out just so that it clears up some bandwidth. We'll have Alan back on next week. We've got a show tomorrow night. I'm going to get Andy on in a second just to tell you what's going on tomorrow night. For tonight, a big thanks to my co-host and all things all things bills of exchange.
Give your money.
By the way, as well, just in case you're interested, I had a chat with Adi today. I spoke with Adi. He's got a bit of post-holiday blues, as you can imagine. And he's had his operation as well. So he had his operation, the operation on his heart on, what day are we on today? Monday. Oh, so it would be Friday. Last week they had his operation on his heart. Or Thursday. Actually, it was Thursday last week. He got out on Friday. So he's doing very well. He's out and about and he's working and he's back on his feet. So get well soon, AD, which you already are anyway, because you rung me up today. And when I was poorly, I didn't feel like ringing anybody up. So big up to AD. Thanks to everyone for listening. I'm going to hand over to Andy to finish off for us tonight. He's going to tell us what we've got tomorrow night and coming up next week as well. Andy.
Hi, mate. Yeah, thanks for keeping that going, guys. I don't know what happened with Alan. It appeared when he got home and connected there, he just could not get back on the Hangout. I kept sending the link, adding him to me various Google Plus circles, but nothing seemed to work. You were picking up some of the chat room for the great contribution, but also there's an awful lot of people who don't listen or don't join the chat room. There's no compulsion to do that, but we get quite a good crowd in there, usually a good lot of banter back and forth, and also it gives you a chance to pose questions to us or the host when we're on the air. I would like to say, I hope they're still listening. Hi to 2 listeners out on the Amalfi Coast in Italy. I believe Dave and Martina have been listening out there tonight. So I hope you 2 are enjoying your travels. And we'll be back tomorrow night, same time, with Hairy Cookie Monster. Really looking forward to having a chat with Cookie. It's ages since I spoke to him. So let's hope the great God Google-Hangout is a bit kinder to us tomorrow night. And for now, we'll play out with a top tune from Heath, if that's all right. Night, folks. Oh.
I got a 6-pack of beers in my fridge and I'm really thirsty. I got a big bag of crisps and a full box of Quality Street. I got some microwave pizza and some microwave fries. Got some microwave hot dogs that have burst down the side. Got a big bar of chocolate and a big fat bag of weed. I got some money in my pocket in case I need to go and get me some more. I hear the postman knocking, but I can't be asked to answer the door. Because I answered yesterday, and the postman said to me, "Will you take this package? Just there's new one in next door, you see." And I said, "Yeah, I suppose I'll take it." Wankers. Some friends of mine are coming round to practice, 'cause we're starting a band. This is our first rehearsal, and I know Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah. So take your instruments in hand. We're starting off in G. Just let the music flow. Yeah, who knows? We could make history. Here we go, boys. Are you ready? Let's rock! 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Wow, that was like different, wasn't it? Tell you what, let's never do that ever again. Ever. Let's finish off with a farting competition. Loser skins up.